Highlanders and Falcons enjoy a well-earned reputation for exceptional academic performance. Excellence has become the norm around campus. As our campus is transitioning to incorporate a new STEAM building and theater, the question was asked, what would make it more ideal? A panel of students, faculty, administration, parents, and community members invested hours into deliberating this very question. It was especially noted that while our students were performing at remarkably high levels, there certainly was an opportunity for their learning experiences to provide more joy and real world relevance. Students can too easily view their high school years as only a hoop that must be jumped through, so that one day, perhaps years in the future, they might make a difference in the world and be able to enjoy their contributions to it. Expo was designed to seize that opportunity to make high school a more joyful and relevant experience. Expo allows our students to apply their knowledge and skills from all of their learning experiences to a problem in which they bring their own passion and interest. For Expo, students will research and analyze a problem of their choosing and persuasively reveal their proposed solution to the world at the Expo event in spring. The manner and form of what students produce for an Expo project is virtually limitless. One might design a tangible object in the engineering lab or at home, or the project might be a policy proposal. It could be a book, a song, a computer program, a widget, a business venture, an academic course, an automobile, a sensor, an analyzer, a TED Talk, an Eagle Scout project, and almost anything. It might be geared locally, regionally, nationally, or globally. It might completely eradicate a problem, or it might simply serve to contribute in a meaningful way towards mitigation of the problem. All students' projects will be revealed at the Expo event at the end of the year, and top tier projects will be especially highlighted. Judges will identify top tier projects utilizing the rubric included in the Expo student guide, available at tinyurl.com/Piedmont Expo. It's important to remember that the Expo project is a standalone work, guided by each individual student's discretion. But several teachers have incorporated a portion or even all of their final assessment as a demonstration of proficiency in standards that could possibly be fully met while the student is working on their Expo project. Many students' questions are answered in the student guide, but clarification is available by emailing Mr. Christensen.
That's what we gave the students, and look at us now. Here we are, Expo 2021, poised to release to you and the world the brilliant analysis of problems and solutions developed by our very own students. Prepare to be impressed. Tonight is all about the students. But first, I'd be remiss to not acknowledge the enormous contributions of the staff and faculty that helped make this possible. Darlene Lowe in the front office. Steve Lucas, who never relented in keeping that sign up no matter how many bungee cords it took. Debbie Hill for fixing every way I could come up with to break WeVideo. Catherine Levinson for equipping the kiddos with world-class research tools and support. Sylvia Eggert, who didn't even hold out for my very well-rehearsed "it's for the students" speech before she just graciously offered to pilot this Zoom session. The PHS Parent Club that truly put wind in our sails with their generous grant, and to CTA for their Institute for Teaching grant. To all of you, our deep and sincere gratitude. And of course, my humble and overwhelming adoration of my faculty peers. The secret sauce of Expo is the cross-curricular approach, the bringing of all of the academic subjects to bear on the same project. So we needed the voice and contribution of our entire faculty, and they rose to the occasion. Despite a raging pandemic, teachers helped to author a guiding question applicable for any student a problem might choose, or any problem a student might choose. They collaborated then to produce a rubric that could measure both problem analysis and solution development, again, for any problem a student might choose. And in immeasurable ways, they facilitated the skills and habits that have equipped our students to go out and tackle the complexity they faced while working on their projects with passion and perseverance. I have the enviable pleasure of working with my heroes. We would also like to acknowledge the unwavering support of our site administrators, Aaron Igo, Irma Munoz, and especially Principal Adam Littlefield, who has steadfastly from day one worked with us shoulder to shoulder. The rare instances he wasn't right beside us was when there was some sort of appreciation being shown and he would take a step back. Or when I would create a mess that Aaron Barlin and Beth Black couldn't fix, and he would take 2 steps forward. He allowed this work to be teacher driven, but he didn't allow it to wither from neglect. And students, you're about to be blown away at who Mr. Littlefield enlisted as judges. And as you reflect on how many adults invested in you for this evening and for the entire process leading up to it, whether you submitted an Expo project or not, we want you to know this: you're worth it. We are so proud of you, and we want so very much for your learning experience here as Highlanders to be filled with joy. Students, thank you for being the best student body on the planet. Mr. Littlefield, please introduce our 2021 Expo Judges.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. I appreciate that opportunity. We had wonderful judges. We had 7 in total, and I'd like to go ahead and introduce them. I believe that most of them are on our screen tonight. First of all, Hillary Cooper, who is a trustee of the Piedmont Board of Education. Thank you, Hillary, for joining us as a judge. Stephanie Griffin, our Director of Instructional Technology and Secondary Curriculum, served as a judge. We also have Megan Pillsbury, who is the Board Vice President for the Piedmont Board of Education. We also have Corey Smegel, the Board President for the Piedmont Board of Education. And we also have Amal Smith, a trustee for the Piedmont Board of Education. In addition, I served as a judge, and my lovely wife, Jill, served as a judge as well. So all of our judges are here this evening, as well as Veronica Anderson-Thigpen, who is also a trustee with the Piedmont Board of Education. Thank you so much, judges, for your efforts in this wonderful project. And now, Ms. Black.
So we met with the judges, gosh, beginning of the month, and we walked them through what I'm going to share with all of you tonight. And that is, not only did these students come up with projects on their own, but they did it against these ideas. We wanted to give them feedback. We wanted them to know the depth that we were looking for, and they did. As Flint said, they rose to the occasion. Here are some of the components of the rubric that our judges used in assessing the projects. So one of the things that we looked at with this central question we put out about a calcifying idea in society that we want to change. Okay, how did they address that question? And so the videos, we looked at those and said, what have you given us? How do we see the problem? How have you come up with solutions? How have you looked at different parts? And then we wanted to see how well they analyze the problem as well. Okay. And that's where that research comes in. That's where you're seeing these different skills throughout their classes have given them. How do I analyze a problem? Whether that is mathematical, whether that is scientific, whether that is through good research and sources. Where did I look at other solutions? How did I evaluate those solutions? And so we looked at that in the videos. How well did the students show research? So many times we say, okay, where did you get that? And the students on their own and thinking about something that matters to them, they knew where to go and find good sources. It wasn't just one source that they went off on. It was multiple that we wanted them to look at. And this is something that we were really impressed that they were able to do well. And then finally, after they looked at all of that information, how well did they synthesize or reflect on the problem? And if you notice on the screen, one of the things we put it in the categories, this isn't that you got it right or you got it wrong. It's not that, it's how well you are doing it. And so we've got the glowing category and the growing category. Yeah, you're still moving forward. You're still doing good work. And we want to keep encouraging that. The second part, the second section that we worked on is not only the problem itself, but how did you do with the solution? How did you do with the presentation? And Mr. Barlin will tell you how well they did with the action. Now let me talk a minute about, yes, just like we're here today, we are encouraging you as our students to be good presenters. How are you presenting that information? Is it something that the audience can grab hold of and that you show your passion and your enthusiasm? So how well did they engage? How did they show evidence of multiple perspectives? Again, with that good research, how is that there? And then your presentation skills, just like this, as I said, wow, am I in? Am I right with you? And that's the part of it that I'm right with you. And then there's the action piece, which becomes important. And Mr. Barlin, tell us about the action piece.
Absolutely. One of the most impressive challenges that students take on when submitting an Expo project is attempting to do something action-oriented. Expo projects aren't merely research projects where they compile information and then share what they found. They're also not merely service or volunteer projects where they participate with a pre-existing organization or it ends and only involves donations or fundraising. They are fundamentally changing something about society, whether that be locally or more globally. That's the action that we're looking for. They're educating people and getting people to care about their issue while also getting people to do something about that issue, right? And that really ties together. This element of action ties together what Beth just described. So Beth, would you like to showcase what the students submitted?
Okay, well, I just get to set up what the students submitted. Here's what we have done with all of these projects. For a beginning, look, we had over 100 students participate. That's first. And as Flint said, Mr. Christensen said, we were blown away. We were blown away that the project started coming in days before the due date, which is very impressive. And then they just kept coming in and kept coming in and kept coming in. Overall, between individual projects and group projects, we had 70 projects from all grades, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. And the topics were limitless. I watched through several of these videos and I saw students and said, yep, that is something that student is passionate about. It's not just for a class. They've used the skills in their classes to follow up on, yeah, I care about this. Whether that was looking at a global problem, whether that was looking at something small, whether it was an activity that they wanted to empower. You're going to see a lot of different elements in the compilation that we have created for you to watch.
I'm Sophie Nevis, and I am a junior at Piedmont High School. So, Expo is all about the joy of learning and having a passion for something bigger than yourself.
And it's always said that people are responsible for their financial future. But if this is true, why does the country consider high school to be the minimum education for students to be ready to be independent and go on their own?
Hello and welcome to our presentation on textile waste by Audrey Mahaney and Charlotte Toy.
So fast fashion contributes to about 10% of carbon emissions annually.
Hi, my name is Issa Griffiths and I'm doing my Expo project on financial education.
Hello, my name is Evan Manolis, and for my Expo project, I chose to look at the issue of food insecurity in America.
Hello everyone, my name is Sage Mosley.
And my name is Elena Blanca, and we're both currently finishing our sophomore year at Piedmont High School. For this year's Expo project, we decided to do ours on diversifying school curriculum.
Hello, my name is Juliet Palacios, and I am the founder and executive director of Computing Minds, a 501c3 nonprofit. The primary focus of Computing Minds is to bring more female representation to computer science.
The U.S. alone sends about 21 billion pounds of textile waste to landfills every year.
This is something I think for the teacher or the tutor, so that's a lot of our age kids, high schoolers, that could use this on the screen and share their screen and have it show with other people.
At the beginning of the pandemic, though, I really saw the mask as a good metaphor for what was happening to Asian populations in the U.S. Because when you're wearing a mask, your voice can be a little muffled, it can be hard to speak, and that sort of reflects the silence that a lot of Asian communities have opted for.
The icon will flash and beep, drawing more attention to it and alerting the driver so they can avoid hitting the cyclist. The icon beeping and flashing can also be alerted if a cyclist is sensed coming up to the car when the navigation is telling the car to turn the direction, preventing the car from turning and hitting the bike, as shown on the right-hand side of the screen.
Our solution is to create a collaborative queue function that allows multiple people to add songs to the same lineup from different devices.
So instead of just one person providing and playing music for the group, it will extend this ability to everyone there.
In this video, we're going to take a look into regenerative agriculture. Before we do that, let's take a look at today's problem, conventional agriculture.
I chose to do an Eagle Scout project and make a fruit box storage unit.
Our Expo project is on solar-powered flashlights by Avery, Josh, Parker, Luke, Josh, and Charlie.
Has an extremely high quality look and feel, easy formability and foldability, just as easily printed as classic paper, difficult to tear, and recyclable.
Bipolar disorder is more developed in adults, thus giving them a stronger reaction in the amygdala.
So our literature review and the significance of this. Around 2.8% of adults and 2.9% of adolescents had bipolar disorder as of 2016.
So Connect is an app that connects homeless people in the community by making transferring money easier and more meaningful. Connect is solving two problems: a lack of personal connection to homeless people and a trusted means of enabling digital payments, since most people don't carry around cash anymore.
My name is Jack Circleblock Ngai, and my Expo project is on the opportunity gap. My project is on how the opportunity gap in education is a real problem that we need to fix.
The U.S. makes up 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prison population. This shows that we incarcerate people 5 times as much proportionally to other countries.
Sexual assault survivors can experience a variety of mental health issues, including PTSD and substance abuse disorders as a result of their trauma.
Hello, I am Robbie Sylvia, and I am here today to present our Expo project. Now before I start, let me recognize my fellow contributors and group mates who were Thomas Devan, Aaron Drum, Jeffrey Kobal, Theo Bakshi, and Avery Chan.
Growing up in Israel, I was always surrounded by loved ones and shielded from the harsh reality of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, although it was taking place before my eyes.
In delving into this topic, I discovered that it really simplified to three main questions. What factors are behind this inequality? What difference does it make toward a child's education and beyond, whether they interact with reading at an early age? And what can we do to give every child an equal chance in learning to read?
Hi, I'm Anna Romanchuk, and I worked on the Expo project with Mason Kimball. We did our research on world hunger.
For the past few years seems to not have a clear consensus of a plan of action. It is a top priority to solve this issue to improve the lives of future generations.
Hello, my name is Jake Ochoa, and I chose to focus my Expo project around AAPI hate crimes and a possible remedy through education. So for my CSP class, we were told to analyze a data set.
Cause a lot of deforestation and are not really checked. And if you look at this graph I made, you can see forest land is going down, agriculture land going up.
When we click on the instructions, we get an in-depth explanation of the game. Then we can start. At first, the guy in the bottom will say a state, and you click on the dot associated with that state.
Hi, my name is Tegan Hadawi, and I'm a 10th grader at Piedmont High, and I'm doing my Expo project on depression during COVID-19. So the essential question of my project is, why has depression hit people so hard during COVID, and what can we do to help it?
Hello, this is a presentation on NIMBY, which stands for Not in My Backyard, and how this concept ties with planning the future.
Ask you what stress level you're at. And it will also, try to suggest a solution.
Hi, I'm Annabelle. I use they, she, or he pronouns.
Hi, I'm Keenan. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, I'm Angie. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Kiara, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hello, this is our action project, Identity Workshops, created by Caitlin, Cameron, Charlotte, Kaylee, Zenobia, Zia, and Aiden.
Formula One is an international auto racing sport that includes races all over the world. Numerous car companies are involved with this league, such as McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes.
Problems with these two things that I mentioned earlier, those being very high rates of unemployment due to job availability and an unstable economy, usually due to inflation and political unrest or just general unrest.
Hi, I'm Izzy Epstein, and my Expo project is on how to make school and home a less stressful and pressurized environment.
If there were cameras on the first and third base lines, we could get an even more accurate read on the velocity of the ball and get even more accurate data for teams. These cameras would also be able to utilize motion capture technology to construct 3D models to better show the path and velocity of the ball.
Global Warming and Climate Change by Sofia Ferrara.
We have to understand why people want to cheat so much. And cheating was always supported by game devs from early ages in single-player games.
Hello, I'm Drew Duncanai, and my Expo project was on water. Water is becoming a scarce resource on Earth.
Today we will be talking about sustainable food sources.
The problem we've decided to address is how the system we have in place for agricultural practices are not sustainable in the long run.
But I couldn't go on like that in middle school, so my parents convinced me to learn the saxophone, and that changed my life forever.
Hello, I'm Jeff Kobal, and I'm here today to present my Expo project. So I actually completed this project with the help of 5 others, including Avery Chan, Thomas Devan, Theo Bakshi, Robbie Sylvia, and Aaron Drum.
Hi, so today I'm going to
talk about emissions and global warming, and I'm going to suggest some solutions that individuals can take to help with this major issue.
Hello, my name is Atticus Lim, and today I'm going to talk to you about traumatic brain injuries. Getting a traumatic brain injury, or more commonly referred to as a concussion, can change the trajectory of your life.
If you look at the ratio of Black people that are incarcerated to Black people, the percent of Black people in the population, it is a very large difference.
Hi everyone! We are a few members of Students for Solar, a team of 21 PHS and MHS students. We are leading a fundraising effort to purchase solar panels for the new STEAM building, transitioning it to a sustainable energy source.
We hit every project that watching this again, it reminds me of how much these students are doing both in our classes and out of our classes. And it's overwhelming. We had a lot of students that they took on the Expo projects after we presented it. They saw it, what is it? Mr. Christensen and Mr. Barlin and myself and some other teachers, we kind of help push kids. Try it. What do you care about? Try it. That Eagle Scout project? Yes. The sustainable fashion that you talk about? Yes. But then we also had students who they started Expo before there was an Expo. And so we have several of those today, several of those students that we're going to hear from and highlight their specific videos. Mr. Barlin, let's hear from one of those.
Thanks so much. I had the pleasure of introducing the first of these two projects for tonight. Students for Solar. We have Mara Loverick, Jr., Sophia Ware, Jr., Luca Carvaramo, Sr., and Elena Blanco, Sophomore, with us here tonight to explain, or at least answer a couple questions about their Expo project, Students for Solar. Students for Solar is a youth-led fundraising campaign with the goal of raising $400,000 to achieve a net zero energy STEAM building. Their campaign began in November of 2020 with a team of 9 students. And since then, the team has grown to 22 PHS and MHS students of all grade levels. Students for Solar has currently raised over $55,000. Let's go ahead and take a look at their project. And afterwards, I had the pleasure of asking them a couple questions.
Hi everyone! We are a few members of Students for Solar, a team of 21 PHS and MHS students. We are leading a fundraising effort to purchase solar panels for the new STEAM building, transitioning it to a sustainable energy source.
As young people, we have a moral obligation and authority to inspire environmental change, for we will live to see the consequences of our actions, and we will live to suffer from the failures of past generations.
Globally, we are releasing an unsustainable amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. According to climate.gov, in 2019, we released 410 parts per million of carbon dioxide, a new record high.
This increase in carbon emissions raises the global temperature, which threatens life on Earth. According to CO2 Earth, if we continue to see such measurements, we can expect an increase of 4 degrees Celsius by 2100.
In 2019, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a statement that saying if global temperatures raised 1.5 degrees Celsius, we would see unprecedented and catastrophic events, such as the destruction of coral reefs and other coastal ecosystems. Therefore, if we want life on Earth to remain viable and as we know it, we must stop carbon emissions.
73% of global emissions come from the energy sector, which we use to power our cars, heat our homes, and light our streets. 18% of global emissions go specifically towards providing power for buildings. Students for Solar looked at our high school and realized that we at Piedmont are contributing to this problem.
PUSD is exacerbating climate change by continuing to purchase electricity from PG&E, who gets their energy primarily from unsustainable sources.
The solution? Solar panels. Solar is a renewable source of energy, meaning it is sustainable and does not produce greenhouse gas emissions. With the goal of shifting our school to renewable energy, we got to work.
The perfect opportunity presented itself in the form of the new STEAM building on our campus.
Working on installing solar panels onto our school building instead of a residential building will actually have a greater environmental effect. And having a net zero STEAM building for our school will allow Piedmont to act as a leading figure in sustainable action against climate change.
The district's initial plan to install solar had to be cut from the building plan due to a lack of funding. However, the district still installed all of the infrastructure to accompany the panels. Essentially, as soon as the district came across the funds for these panels, they could be installed right away without additional hassle.
Members of the Piedmont Green Club learned of the situation back in November 2020. We stepped up to meet this need of the community and set the goal of raising all the money needed to fund and install $400,000 worth of solar panels to the STEAM building.
After deciding on our goal to fundraise for solar panels, we began to reach out to the community for guidance on how to get our fundraiser started.
Piedmont Connect, the local environmental group, gave us connections to our local professionals in the renewable energy business, such as Josh Poisamatier and John Gibbs, who advised us on marketing renewable energy and the specifics of the H1 bond measure. With this information, our team got a better understanding of the problem, our unique situation, and the environmental consequences of our intended solution.
With this baseline, our team began building our internal foundation. We met every Sunday, beginning with a check-in to form a student community around this project. When we got our start in November, we had 9 team members. With this new time and dedication, we created an Instagram page, a website, and a Facebook page.
Soon after, we partnered with the Piedmont Education Foundation to receive nonprofit status. We then set up a donation website at piedmontstudentsforsolar.org. With this foundation set, we opened our campaign to the public. In February, we did just this with a public launch event. Months of preparation went into the virtual Zoom event. We publicized the event in local papers, social media, the classroom, and via posters throughout Piedmont.
Our event featured speakers Meredith Foley, an associate professor at the Department of Agriculture and Resource Economics at Berkeley, University of California. Dr. Foley spoke about what the Piedmont community can learn through the process of solarizing our new STEAM building.
Our next guest was Gabriel Craw, co-founder and managing director of Prelude Ventures, a venture capital firm that partners with entrepreneurs to address climate change. Josh Poisamatier also spoke. He works for Congruent Ventures and was significantly involved in creating the district's plans for solar panels on the STEAM building.
The event also featured President of the Piedmont Board of Education, Corey Smeagol, who announced the Board of Education's $25,000 pledge, and Maura Chapman, who announced a $15,000 pledge in the name of the Piedmont Connect organization.
The launch event was a success. We had 71 attendees and raised nearly $48,000. To show our appreciation for the attendees of the event and our donors, we created 100 custom Students for Solar handwritten cards that are currently in the mail to you all.
Since then, we have been planning our next event, a virtual auction. It's currently open for bidding. Check it out at www.piedmontstudentsforsolar.org.
We have a variety of items available, including a week-long stay at La Quercia Altabella Villas in Italy, gift cards to local restaurants and shops, wine, jewelry, and original art.
Students for Solar also created contributions to the virtual auction. My team and I designed and built this garden bed.
To gather this inventory, we mobilized the economic community across Piedmont and Oakland by going door to door on Piedmont Avenue, Grand Avenue, College Avenue, and in Montclair Village. We also mobilized our network of family and friends.
In total, we collected around $7,000 worth of donations. And just as importantly, we formed connections with local small businesses, fulfilling our goal of a community-based campaign. One of these small businesses, Better Cuts, a hair salon with 2 locations on Piedmont Avenue, offered us not only a $300 gift card, but an ongoing fundraising partnership.
We coordinated with the Better Cuts business manager, Jeffrey Lim, to create a program where customers can mention the Students for Solar campaign in order to receive $5 off any haircut from the salon. Every time this happens, Better Cuts will donate $5 to the Students for Solar campaign.
This partnership has the potential to generate significant revenue, but only if it is properly publicized. That is why we have set about writing pieces to be published in the Piedmont Excedra, the Piedmont Post, and other local newspapers. In addition, we are going to print 100 posters about this partnership and put them up around Piedmont and Piedmont Avenue. The posters will feature a QR code, which when scanned will provide the customer with a $5 virtual gift card to Better Cuts.
Customers are encouraged to post a picture of their fresh cuts with the hashtag BetterCut, Students for Solar. In doing this, we will create a social media traffic that can be tracked to our Instagram for a positive feedback loop of publicity.
We're also collaborating with Zachary's Pizza. We're currently fundraising a fundraising event night in July at Zachary's, where 15% of all participating purchases will go to Students for Solar. As we mentioned before, Piedmont will be saving money on the school's electricity bill. However, as an increasing number of buildings, such as our high school, transition to solar, more and more buildings are no longer paying their electricity bill. This causes an increase in the electricity bill of non-PV households. Therefore, as wealthier communities such as Piedmont transition to rooftop solar to save money, lower-income communities that can't afford solar, often BIPOC, are trapped with a higher electricity bill.
We had Meredith Fowley speak on the issue of equity at our launch event, so that our donors would be fully informed on the complex reality of solar. Going into the summer, Students for Solar hopes to increase our focus on equity. We plan on doing this through, first of all, lobbying for rate reform legislation and other legislation that would put climate justice at the forefront. Second of all, we hope to lobby the government of Piedmont to appropriate some of the savings generated by the solar panels on the steam building towards addressing equity at a local level.
We come to you with these takeaways. First, there's power in collective action. We banded together through our work and your donations as a community to spread the roots of sustainability and fund a future we can thrive in.
Thank you for raising your voice with us.
And with the momentum of environmental action, we will now look to the future of this campaign with two goals: creating equity while maintaining our long-term goal for solar, and cultivating a living laboratory so Students for Solar's mission of sustainability will live on in the faculty, curriculum, and the hearts of high school and greater community.
Goodness gracious, aren't you blown away? You might have seen on the screen, when you're speaking and you're muted, it says, if you're speaking, please unmute. That's just me giggling with glee and pride, watching these students do amazing things. So we have Mara, Sophia, Luca, and Elena here with us. As we just saw, they've clearly done a lot already. So naturally we want to ask, what next steps do you have planned for Students for Solar in the short term and long term? And what else can people do to engage and learn more about your project?
Yeah, so I can take what we have planned in the short term and long term. So right now, as you saw in our video, we're working on our virtual auction, which features items like gift cards for restaurants and small businesses around the Piedmont community in Montclair on College Avenue. And so the way you can participate in this virtual auction is by going to our website, which is www.piedmontstudentsforsolar.org. And that's students for solar with like the number 4. Or we'll be putting QR codes around town and around the high school, like posters with QR codes you can scan, and also some information about the auction. So that's what's kind of on the short-term horizon. Check it out. There's like really cool stuff like a week-long stay in this Italian castle. There's just like wine, restaurant gift cards. We have some gift baskets for the beach, for your spice cabinet. So we have everything. And then in the long term, as we said, we have a partnership with Better Cuts. So get your haircuts for Better Cuts and go every time and tell them we're a friend of the Students for Solar campaign. And they will donate $5 to us every time. That adds up. And then just follow us on social media and on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and just stay tuned. And then I guess I'll leave how people can get involved as well to Sophia and Elena.
All right, so what students especially can do to get involved is, first of all, just join our team. We meet every Sunday, might change with the summer, but we'll have tons of like exciting events coming up this summer where you can get involved. So to reach out, you can email greenclubphs@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram, and the @ for Instagram is Piedmont Green Club. And yeah, so you can also just get community service hours over the summer and just help our community and the school become more environmentally friendly.
And Mr. Barlin, I'm going to sidetrack your question a bit just so we can have a shout out to our donors. Thank you so much. You have made our campaign possible. If you haven't donated yet, we still need your support. You can always donate. You can tell your friends about Students for Solar. You can bid, like Mara said, on a virtual auction item because we need to put our money in sustainability. As Mara also said, you can follow us on Instagram, which is at Piedmont Green Club. You can also follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as a final remark, we just really want to say thank you to the Expo creators. Thank you for this platform and for your recognition. It means a lot. And we hope that you support Students for Solar in the future.
Such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your work and for coming here and answering our questions, all the things. We look forward to seeing what you do next. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you, Students for Solar. Thank you, Mr. Barlin. Sylvia, were we able to wrangle that Palmer character? Did we get him corralled?
He is on camera. He is a panelist.
I love it. Mr. Palmer, I thought this would be an excellent moment in our event to ask you to come on, not because you like being in front of the camera. I know how much you like it. So it took some arm twisting to get you to come here. But I love being in this building, Pete. It is just a delight. It is so inspiring. But I don't even know all of the things that are unique and special about this building. I thought it would be fun if you could share with us a few things that from the outside, the community looks and sees a beautiful building and knows a state-of-the-art concept, but maybe you could fill us in on a thing or two that the average person in the community might not know is in this building.
Sure. Hello, everybody. And, what an amazing event. And I just want to thank Students for Solar and the donors for Students for Solar for contributing and getting solar panels on the STEAM building. And I just logged on to my Solar Connect app, and we have generated year-to-date 44.91 megawatt hours. So since March, we've been operational, and that's roughly 500 kilowatt hours a day, and we're saving the district thousands of dollars, and that's only 300 of the 1,000 panels that we have planned to put on both the STEAM building and the theater. So big thank you for everybody there. The one thing that I wanted to point out in regards to the STEAM building that most people don't know is that it's probably one of the most energy efficient buildings in a public school in Northern California. And it's designed and engineered to be zero net energy with all the solar panels. But one of the most unique features of the building is something called an air source heat pump. And what's unique about it is that it pumps hot water when it's cold out, it pumps cold water throughout the building when it's warm out. And the slabs in each of the floors of the STEAM building are 6 to 8 inches thick. And so there's a tremendous heat sink there. And it takes roughly 24 hours to adjust the temperature in the STEAM building. That's how long it takes to either cool it or warm it out. And so what's unique about it is it has a building management system that actually is tied to the Hayward Airport weather station. And it reads the forecast and adjusts the flow of water, whether it's hot or cold, 24 hours before the expected temperature. So it keeps the building at an even temperature So it anticipates a warm weather day and adjusts the water temperature, hot or cold, 24 hours beforehand. So I thought that was pretty cool feature that most people don't really understand, and we're still in the process of commissioning, and it's a process that we're going through, and I appreciate people being patient in that building. There's still some bugs that we're working out, but it's just been very, very cool to bring this building up and running. And I think in the future, everybody can really learn a lot from all the cool features of the STEAM building and the theater. So that's it.
Pete,
anything else?
A little more enthusiasm about being here, Pete. No, Pete, I just want you to know that I get to see you behind the scenes, and I appreciate how you have the ability to see the smallest detail and the 50,000 foot perspective and go back and forth between the two like few other I've ever seen. And we appreciate that in the district because it pays us huge dividends. So thank you, Pete, so much. You are a treasured asset for us. Thank you for coming on too, Pete. I owe you.
Thanks, Mr. Christensen. Appreciate it.
All right, Beth, I think we have another one who had a head start way before Expo came on the scene that has culminated in quite a project to submit. You want to introduce that one?
I would love to. I want to introduce Juliet Palacios. So I'm going to start and talk to Juliet first before we show her video. So Students for Solar, they obviously, I know several of those students, and I know how passionate they are about the environment. Juliet is equally passionate, and hers is about helping and helping mostly younger girls and teaching them some good computer skills. And she started a project a long time ago, before it was a project, when it was just something inside of her. And that's what I wanted to capture with you, Juliet. I wanted to ask you a few questions. How long have you been working on this project? And I'm going to tell the group. So your group is called Computing Minds, your company, your LLC. It's a 501(c) nonprofit. And the focus is to bring more female representation to computer science. And your main program is coding classes, where you teach girls ages 9 through 12, and you have between 5 and 10 students per class. How long have you been working on this?
I've had Computing Minds since my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, to kind of expand it more, I applied for nonprofit status, and then this year I'm a junior, so I've just been trying to expand Computing Minds more.
So why Expo? What made this transition in your mind from this is something that I do to I'm going to turn it into an Expo project?
Well, first, Mr. Christensen suggested, I had Mr. Christensen last year, so he suggested that I submit Computing Minds as an Expo project. And then I actually really enjoyed doing the Expo project because I actually hadn't kind of put everything that I had done together into like one, in this case, a video, and just seen like, oh, this is everything that I've done. And then here's what I'm doing now. And then here's my plan. So I think it was really nice to be able to just see everything come together into one video.
Way to go, Mr. Christensen. Way to put that nudge in there. Okay, now I want to know another thing. So Juliet, hopefully one of the things that you all do in these projects, hopefully you feel that you are prepared. We ask students that when they leave here, but it's nice to see that you're putting your skills to work while you're on campus. What skills did you use from your classes to help prepare you for this?
Well, I guess my first skill was definitely having Mr. Maddox, I took Joy of Computing my freshman year, and that class kind of was definitely part of the reason why I started Computing Minds. It was to give girls at a young age a good first experience with computer science. And then there's also other things that I've kind of like integrated with Computing Minds, like to partner with schools, especially when I hadn't partnered with any yet. What I did was like cold call emailing. So I would email, I would look at their website and then find someone to contact and then email that school, elementary school. And that actually did have, some to do with English because it was writing like a convincing email to them.
Excellent. All right, Juliet, what's on the horizon with your, now it's not just a project for you, what's on the horizon? What are you moving forward with?
Okay, so for me, I definitely started Computing Minds with definitely a focus on bringing more like gender diversity to computer science. But the more that I've, been working on Computing Minds, and especially this year, for me has brought to light so much of, gender, and not only gender, but ethnic diversity. There's a lack of ethnic diversity in computer science. So for me, definitely in the future with Computing Minds, we're definitely going to have a lot more of an emphasis on not only bringing gender diversity, but more ethnic diversity to computer science, because it's nice to give these girls like, it's a fun first experience, but it's also it's an educational experience, so that can help people also achieve more educational and socioeconomic mobility.
That's awesome. All right, Juliet, mind if we watch your video and then we're going to come back and we are going to talk to Professor Dan Garcia.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Juliet Palacios, and I am the founder and executive director of Computing Minds, a 501c3 nonprofit. The primary focus of Computing Minds is to bring more female representation to computer science. I was inspired to start Computing Minds when I started researching statistics and finding things like at Google, only 5% of software engineers are female minorities. I started Computing Minds freshman year when I would go to local elementary schools in Oakland to teach girls coding. Sophomore year, it became harder to work with more students and expand Computing Minds because the girls were having to share malfunctioning Chromebooks and iPads. I realized the benefits that a nonprofit offered, so I decided to apply for nonprofit status. Part of my research to start Computing Minds consisted of buying a NOLO self-help book to fill out the paperwork to get Computing Minds to have official 501c3 nonprofit status. At Computing Minds, we teach free coding classes to girls ages 9 through 12. Our classes are always free because it is very important to me to close the digital divide as much as possible. What I think is very special about Computing Minds is our ability to grow so quickly as an organization and who we can help. We have worked with 5 schools, and this school year alone, Computing Minds has had around 80 students. Some of the students that we have had are not through OUSD, and those students were able to find out about Computing Minds by word of mouth and then sign up on our website. Students have also found out about Computing Minds by hearing about it on the KCBS radio or reading articles that have been posted about Computing Minds. Something fun to note is that we just announced our scholarship essay winners at the beginning of May. The scholarship that we had was to support women who will be freshmen in college and pursuing computer science in the fall of 2021. We ended up receiving hundreds of applications to the Computing Minds scholarships. Our 3 winners were chosen by the impactful essays that they submitted. We had donations to our PayPal and our GoFundMe on our website, so it was nice to be able to offer a scholarship. Recently, other high schoolers have started volunteering with Computing Minds, and it has been really amazing to get to collaborate with other people on this. Some of the student volunteers are from Piedmont, and other volunteers are from other school districts. This summer, I will be putting on the first ever annual Computing Minds Women in Technology Conference. The conference will be virtual this year, and it will be on August 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Recently, I have been working to get speakers lined up for this. So far, I have 8 really amazing speakers lined up, and to find speakers, I have been researching who might be a good speaker and then cold call emailing them. Something else that's going to be happening this summer is Computing Minds will be able to start working with students who are in Mexico, and we will also possibly be partnering with a school there. I am Mexican and I really care about bringing more female representation to computer science, but I also really care about bringing more ethnic diversity. I have some relatives and family friends in Tijuana, so some of our new students may be from there. While our primary goal is to bring more female representation to computer science, it is important to also focus on bringing more ethnic diversity to computer science. I want to help ethnic groups like the one I am part of achieve greater educational and socioeconomic mobility. Providing students access to a fun educational experience with computer science can help them in their future careers. The pandemic has affected people of color a lot, both with financial situations and with the level of education people have been receiving, and it is very important to me to make future minorities have a stronger educational experience. Something that Computing Minds may start doing is teaching other STEAM classes. Our main focus is always going to be computer science, but we may start offering classes like engineering, art, or philosophy classes. These extra classes would be an opportunity for students to learn about other STEAM-related things too. I started Computing Minds a little more than 3 years ago with the intent of just working with a few girls to be inspired about computer science and have a fun first experience. Since then, Computing Minds has grown into a 501c3 nonprofit, gained many more students, provided a scholarship, and continues to grow every day. My hope for the long-term future of Computing Minds is to bring more educational equity to thousands of students and to make the experience a fun one for each of them.
Juliet, we dreamt that we might have an Expo project that would be a fraction of that. We are so excited and so proud. We highlighted the 2 tonight because we really didn't have time to finalize the top tier. We'll get that soon, real soon. But we knew Students for Solar, of which you are a member, and your videos were ones we wanted the world to see of where Expo might take us one day, but you really set the bar too high. We cannot hold what you have done up as the top tier standard because that's not fair to expect students to do that each year. We do hope that there will be others. So when that happens, Juliet, we want you to know that they will be designated not only top tier, but they will win the Juliet Palacios Award, should that happen again. So I hope that you are able to look back as the years go by and see some students that follow in your footsteps and wear with pride the Juliet Palacios Award. Well, I had to bring on somebody that was much more involved and knows a lot much more about a class that you mentioned with Mr. Maddox, because the gentleman that we have with us is a legend in bringing computer science to high school. I can walk into any computer science venue in the country, mention the Bay Area, it doesn't even have to be Cal, just the Bay Area, and Dan Garcia's name will pop out. And I get to say, I know him. I call him my friend. And like Pete Palmer, he had other things in his life to do. He's on the East Coast. He's staying up late at night altered his plans. Dan, we are so appreciative of you, but Dan, if you could share with Juliet the significance of what she's done and what you've been working on for a decade in trying to change the face of what a computer science person looks like.
Thank you so much, Flint. Such a warm welcome. I am just delighted to be here, first of all, and I'm so impressed by Juliet, by your project. Your team's project is remarkable in its achievement. It's remarkable in its depth of understanding of the problem. I've been thinking about the problem of diversity in computer science for about a decade, as Flint mentioned. We founded the CSTA chapter that Flint is part of. Flint is the president, by the way, or going to be the president of the CSTA Golden Gate chapter that gets computer science teachers around the Bay Area together, around the Berkeley and Oakland area. And we all sit around the table and say, what is the biggest problem facing computer science? Is it, well, this language is better than that language? No. The biggest issue that all of us are facing, and by the way, I'm representing UC Berkeley here, and all the folks who teach introductory computer science recognize the same problem you've recognized, which is diversity in computer science. We don't at all look like the county or the state or the United States in terms of who is in computing and who is succeeding in computing. And you have hit the nail on the head in terms of how we need to rectify that. We need to go to middle schools and encourage and inspire young girls and young people of color to think about computer science as a career or as an interest or as a major, as a minor. And you're doing exactly what I would be doing if I were in your shoes. And I'm so impressed, so impressed by your achievement and what your spirit, what your goal is exactly the right, and at the 10 years from now, we'll say that was the thing to be working on in 2021. What I want to do is two things. I want to make sure that when you graduate, there are people continuing to work on that. So it isn't just you doing it, because it's very often there's one person who's the core, and when that person graduates, it kind of peters out. So I want to make sure that you have a good team in place to keep this going, continue that ball forward. It's such an important project. And I also want to see where you're going to college, because, I don't know, UC Berkeley would love to bring you to our campus. So I just want to say, I am just so impressed. Congratulations on your project, and go Berkeley, go Bears, and go Piedmont High School. You have one of, I shouldn't tell the other high schools this, but you have one of the strongest high school computer science programs of the entire Bay Area. Don't tell the other schools this, but you folks are amazing, and you're so lucky to have such a team working with you, such an inspiring leadership team. It's great to be partners. I've been friends with and team partnerships with Piedmont for 10 years at least. So it's such a great partnership, and I'm so delighted to be here. And thank you again, Flint, and congratulations again, Juliet. Not worthy. Amazing. Congratulations again.
Professor Garcia, thank you so very much. I just am going to join you in sending Juliet Cal recruiting brochures on a daily basis, that's for sure. All righty, thank you, Dr. Garcia. Aaron, I think we are ready for you to give people information on how they'll be able to see all of those 70 projects, and very soon we'll be able to designate the top tier ones amongst them. Take it away, Aaron.
All right. Yes, absolutely. As we're nearing the end of the first annual Expo, I'll explain to you how to watch this again, if you'd like, or just share the recording, and where you could find notifications of the other top tier projects selected by judges. So you can check out all of the student projects on Piedmont High School's website under the academics drop-down menu, you'll be able to find Piedmont Expo. It has all of the information about what exactly Expo is, and we'll have the recording and top tier projects soon. When that happens, you'll receive a notification through Infinite Campus from Principal Adam Littlefield, letting you know that the website has been updated. Yes, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Barlin. I just want to mention, as you enjoy perusing the students' projects, you will notice some with that designation of top tier, but it's so important for you to remember that Expo is not a competition, but an exhibition. as projects are never evaluated against one another, but instead by how well they tackle the complexity and the diverse perspectives of the problems they're seeking to solve. Presentation style and quality are important and considered, but the essential analysis of the problem and the soundness of the proposed solution are paramount. Some would question, and at times very rightly so, the wisdom of launching Expo in this pandemic year. Trust me when I say we doubted many times the sanity of building this plane in mid-flight, especially when all stability had seemingly been stripped from the earth below us. But in the hardest moments, one compelling vision kept us moving forward. A desire to provide an arena where our community could unite and work as one towards a common goal. I have a favorite story I'd like to introduce you to. I know you've never heard it because so far only the opening line has been written. It sounds at first like a fairy tale, but my belief is that it can become actual history and that Piedmont will be its author. The opening line is this, and I invite you to finish the rest of the story. Once upon a time, in a little city on the hill, a community came together. It would be so pleasant if the fading away of debates around masks and distance versus in-person classroom minutes would liberate us to simply just see eye to eye on every issue going forward. But naivete in this regard will not finish that dream story. I do believe we can write that story, and for my contribution, my one voice in the mix, I pledge to you to do my very best to choose my words as wisely as I can. I looked up this particular poem from a few years ago because I'm trying to keep its message in mind now as I renew my desire to choose wise words. Surgeons and butchers, each skilled with a knife, one harvests death, one saves the life. Surgeons and butchers both cut it out, only one heals, though both are devout. Surgeons and butchers both speak what is true. When you share your mind, which one are you? Piedmont Highlanders, past, present, and future, please finish writing that story. Once upon a time in a little city on the hill, a community came together. For tonight, we close with these three words, words that are inscribed on our walls by those that came before us, words that we have seen brought to life by our students in their Expo projects, and words that we hope unite and inspire us always. Achieve the honorable.